Kim Kardashian just got humiliated on live TV at Tom Brady's Netflix roast. As soon as she opened her mouth, the whole crowd was booing her so badly she couldn't even get a single word in. Even Tom Brady himself was not afraid to take some unbelievable jabs at Kim in her feud with Kanye. It was honestly so bad that Kim might have to hide her face in the public eye until some of this has blown over. Now obviously we know that every celebrity who agrees to take part in a roast is going to be ridiculed mercilessly. It doesn't matter if you aren't the star of the show, every roaster who appears on stage is going to have their whole life dissected in the worst ways imaginable. Now we should start off by saying that Kim was incredibly brave to agree to do this because, let's be honest, her whole life was provided a ton of ammunition for some very crude jokes. Obviously fellow roasters like Jeff Ross wasted no opportunities to tee off on the reality star, but the jokes she faced weren't even the worst part of the night for her. As soon as she arrived to the venue for the big night of laughter, you could see that Kim was already looking a little bit tense. She turned up with her friend and business partner Tracy Romulus, and people could already see that Kim was visibly nervous. There have been so many lowlights over the years for the roasters to use as cannon fodder, but it was actually the audience that really stunned the reality star. As soon as Kim walked up on stage to begin her own roast of Tom Brady, things took a pretty unexpected turn for her. Kim started to get into a joke about the host of the night, Kevin Hart, when she was interrupted by a chorus of boos from the audience. They were so heavy that Kim actually had to pause for a moment to take it all in. She managed to break out a little smirk and seemingly shrugged off the heckling, but you could tell it definitely affected her. Credit to where it's due though, Kim didn't falter and continued on with her whole set. She actually had some pretty funny jokes as well and sort of turned the crowd a little bit back in her favor. She addressed some of the old dating rumors surrounding herself and Tom Brady and gave a pretty funny explanation for why it would never happen now. Kim pointed out that Tom Brady is an ex-athlete with high cheekbones and silky hair who now reminds her of her own stepdad, Caitlyn Jenner. She also stated if they were ever dating, she wouldn't even need to tell anybody, she'd just release another tape. Kim also pointed out that it was hard to watch people roast Tom, but she stated that enough of her family members have already defended former football players. Of course, we all know who her late father Rob Kardashian was defending back in the 1990s. So Kim did manage to hold up well while she was on stage herself, but how did she fare while she was taking heat from her fellow roasters? Well, obviously she was a focal point for many jokes throughout the night. Nothing from her life was safe from being made fun of, and some of the jokes were just too brutal for us to even repeat on here. With people like Jeff Ross and Andrew Schultz up on stage, you just know that lines are going to be crossed, and everyone has to be prepared for some of the nastiest jokes you are ever going to hear. Every time someone directed their attention towards Kim Kardashian, you could see that the reality star was visibly uncomfortable. Jokes are made about her past relationships and some of her family issues, and she would just have to nod and smile and pretend that it didn't bother her. But one of the jokes that really stood out to everyone was provided by none other than Tom Brady himself. As soon as Brady mentioned Kim's name and looked directly at her, you could already see that Kim was a little bit nervous about what he was going to say. Brady could have selected any embarrassing moment from Kim's life to put on blast, but he opted for a much more recent feud that really hit close to home. He did applaud Kim for showing up and admitted that it was brave of her to attend the roast, but not for the reasons you would probably expect. Tom stated that Kim was terrified to be at the roast, but it was because her little ones were at home with their dad. Well, you can see that one definitely ruffled some feathers on Kim. Of course, she kept up appearances on camera and just shrugged it off, but everyone was pointing out how uncomfortable she looked and probably felt. The long documented breakup and ensuing feud between Kim and Kanye has been very well documented. We all know that Kanye took a very strange turn in life after that breakup, and his character and mental state have been brought into question ever since. So when that sort of a feud is made fun of, you can tell that Kim really wasn't enjoying it, especially since her little youngsters were also mentioned. The fact that the joke got a massive round of applause and a standing ovation from some also reminded Kim that the audience really didn't like her. Of course, it was also a massive dig at Kanye, who still manages to be the center of attention at an event he's not even attending. The whole thing was just a really bad night for Kim. It was probably a very rude awakening for her that she might not have as many fans as she thinks. Now, once again, these roasts are pretty much open season for everyone who attends, and the roasters need to be prepared to face some of the nastiest jokes they will ever hear in their life. People are not afraid to go well over the line, and it wasn't even Kim who was uncomfortable with some of the jokes. Even Tom Brady himself had to stand up at one point and give Jeff Ross a stern warning about one of his jokes. Ross was taking plenty of shots at the New England Patriots, but the one that sent Brady over the edge was a remark he made about Robert Kraft's special massages. Maybe some of the roasters were told ahead of time that Robert Kraft was off limits, but if you watched any of these roasts in the past, you know that Jeff Ross just doesn't care. You could cut the tension with a knife after that one, so perhaps Kim was at least able to see that she wasn't the only uncomfortable person in the room. After the roast had concluded and everyone made their way towards the exits, viewers once again noticed that Kim seemed extremely uncomfortable. She managed to shrug off the jokes during the night, but it was so obvious that some of them really struck a chord with her. Whether it was anything to do with her past relationships, family drama, or her ongoing feud with Kanye, you could tell that she was very upset. But the one thing that undoubtedly affected her the most was the booing. She might have been able to prepare herself for some of the nasty jokes she was going to hear, but having an entire room full of important people tell you how much they dislike you is pretty tough for anybody. There have been some pretty controversial people who have attended these roasts over the years, including far-right commentator Ann Coulter, and even she wasn't booed as badly as Kim. It's really anyone's guess if Kim will ever agree to be a part of another roast again, but we wouldn't be surprised if this was her last. Another appearance will only be another bad wake-up call that's filled with a ton of nasty jokes and a chorus of boos from a very loud audience. But maybe she'll actually surprise us and make another roast appearance in the future. We'll just have to wait and see what happens next for Kim after this rather embarrassing night. Thanks as always for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.